President Trump announced a soft exit from the United Nations Arms Trade Treaty last week, throwing the international community and the leftist media into a tizzy. But did you know that the globalists have other ways to take your guns? We'll explain today in this episode of Analysis Behind the News, where we provide the perspective that you can use to help save American liberty and independence. WHIO-TV reported online that UN spokesman Stefan Dujarric reacted to the announcement saying the treaty is the only global instrument aimed at improving transparency and accountability in the international arms trade. The report continued, stating that the treaty is the first legally binding treaty to regulate the international trade in conventional arms and was overwhelmingly approved by the 193-member UN General Assembly in April 2013 and has been ratified by 101 countries. First of all, let's look at the legitimacy of this claim that the treaty is the only global instrument aimed at improving transparency and accountability in the international arms trade. Now, if you were to remove the term arms from that statement and insert any other trade description in its place, say international automobile trade or international clothing trade, even international clothing pins trade or international gaming trade, whatever industry, the first question that pops into your mind should not be related to that particular trade. Rather, it should be directed squarely at the entity. But what I mean by that is who or what gave the United Nations permission to manage any trade or even anything? You see, the United Nations was created by globalists to steer countries around the world into participating in a structure of world government, a structure that they have set up, a structure that is the complete opposite of our American system of federalism, which limits central government and protects our God-given rights. As we have pointed out time and time again, the UN Charter is written in such a way as to limit personal rights and establishes government as the source of those rights, as well as its final arbiter. Again, this is the complete opposite of what our founders created. This means that the UN should never be looked to as a problem solver of anything. It should be viewed as an entangling alliance that our founders warned us against. We need to get out of the United Nations, so let's ask President Trump to walk back our signature from the UN Charter as well. But globalists certainly have more than one way to trample American sovereignty, to take away your liberties, including the Second Amendment. They could take away your liberties by, say, holding a constitutional convention to scrap and rewrite the Constitution. For more on that, look for our video that's entitled Tricked into Gun Control. They could also set up regional governmental bodies that usurp American sovereignty, in which Congress would delegate more and more of its constitutional powers until it finds itself subservient to a higher governmental power. They could also write in specific rules and regulations into proposed treaties or trade agreements pulled from other treaties that Congress has yet to ratify. For instance, in Article 2.16 of the USMCA, the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, in the section on export licensing, references are made to many arms treaties. So here's the context. Nothing in this article shall be construed in a manner that would require a party to grant an export license, or that would prevent a party from implementing its obligations or commitments under United Nations Security Council resolutions, as well as multilateral non-proliferation regimes. That could mean that if a country is a signatory to an arms treaty, then it may be able to use that as an excuse to not grant an export license to a country for certain arms or related parts. Also, even if the U.S. never ratifies the Arms Trade Treaty, its provisions may show up in future trade agreements, which would essentially be the same thing as the U.S. ratifying the treaty without Senate approval. This is the case currently with the USMCA. Provisions of the Law of the Sea Treaty appear in the USMCA, but the Senate never has ratified the treaty. If the USMCA goes through, then that will be the equivalent of basically adopting the treaty. So while we applaud the President in his efforts to safeguard our Second Amendment rights, his statement of never surrendering American sovereignty to anyone has yet to be seen, especially with his endorsement of the USMCA. Getting out of these treaties and these organizations is akin to untangling ourselves from the entangling alliances our founders warned against. And with the influence of the United States, you can bet that the build-up to a new world order would come crashing down if we pulled our membership and told the UN to get out of the US. So please, contact President Trump and Congress and tell them to protect American sovereignty by stopping the USMCA, getting us out of NAFTA, and getting us out of the United Nations. Contact information is included below in the description or in the comments. Then consider joining other patriots at the John Birch Society as we battle globalism and protect Americanism, and have been doing so for more than 60 years. And please be sure to like and share this video with others. And until next time, we'll see you then.